And in this little series of videos, we are talking about how back pain is all in your head. Now, in video number 1, we talked about restoring the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, the fascia to give us a window of opportunity to learn how to move correctly. Now we can get on to how to move correctly, and well, first of all, how we move. Now, you can see in the picture here, I've got someone who's doing what's called an overhead squat. So if you can see feet, the shin, the knee, the upper leg, the hips, the spine, the head, the arms, and they've got a weight up over their head, this red circle here. Now, don't worry too much about, the position that they're in and all the letters and the numbers and the dotted lines. That bit isn't important. What we have to get through in this video, or what we have to understand from this video, is that movement is specific, number one. So what that means is you may be able to squat correctly, for instance. So you may be able to do an overhead squat correctly, but when you do a lunge, you wobble all over the place. What that basically means is that just because you can do a squat properly doesn't mean that you can do something else properly, if that makes sense. Now, don't worry about the example that I'm using. The main thing to understand is that movement is specific. Okay, so what that means is we have to learn how to move, because when we learn how to move, it decreases the pressure on joints of the body, because joints aren't being sort of overused as a compensation. That was kind of what I was getting at in the first video, that we create these compensations that overuses and overworks certain joints, muscles, ligaments, tendons, so on and so forth, and then we create a pain. When we restore how we move and we start moving correctly, that brings the joints, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons and the fascia back to some sort of normal level, and they won't manifest the pain because they aren't being misused and overused, if you can follow where I'm going. So by using this sort of example, what we can understand is that, number one, restore the muscles, ligaments and tendons. That will help restore the joint. Then what we have to do is restore the movement within that joint. Now, how we do that is not just by doing the movement. There's something else going on, and what's going on is all in your head. In your head, you store every single movement you have. If it's getting up out of a seat, if it's getting down into a seat, if it's picking something up off the floor, if it's getting into a car, if it's getting out of a car, all of that is stored in your brain, and it stores it just like your MP3 player stores a music track. You create a file, you put the playlist in, and then the playlist is made up of 11 songs, let's say. So your brain is organized in exactly the same way, and when you get in and out of a car, it chooses that program and plays it. Just like your MP3 player, when you choose a track, it plays it. So when you walk, you say, I'm going to get up out of the seat, it chooses that track, you get up out of the seat. When you say, I'm going to walk across the room, it chooses the next track, it plays it out, and you walk across. Okay, so hopefully you're understanding sort of where I'm going with this. Basically, every single movement is stored in your brain. This is what makes it specific, because each track, in a way, is stored, and you just play it, and you just play it, and you just play it. And some tracks are sort of recorded perfectly and correctly, but some tracks are stored in an inefficient, or have an inefficient, movement stored within it. So what we have to do is we have to look at movement. Once we've restored all the joints back to some sort of normal level, given ourselves that window of opportunity, we have to look at movement and how we do it. And then in that window of opportunity, we have to start correcting it, because it's in that window of opportunity that our brain can be reprogrammed. And when we start reprogramming our brain, we start reprogramming our movement. When we start reprogramming our movement, we then start relieving pressure on joints, and then we start decreasing our risk of low back pain. Okay, and that is how low back pain is all in your head. So first of all, release all the tension in the muscle, or as much of the tension as you can. Then that gives you the window of opportunity to then finally understand what correct movement is and then reprogram the brain with that correct movement. And that is how we overcome low back pain. And that is how low back pain is all stored in your head. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. My name is Chris from ChristopherHall.com. If you want to come and watch more videos, there's loads more on the website. Please come along. I'll be happy to help and educate. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll speak to you in another video.